How could one lone gunner's suicidal tactic destroy 12 deadly Messerschmitt Bf 109s in just 4 heart-pounding minutes and change the face of air combat forever? On March 6, 1944, amid the frozen skies over Nazi Germany, the 8th Air Force launched its first full-scale daylight raid on Berlin. A daring operation that would test the limits of American resolve. Over 800 B-17 Flying Fortresses and B-24 Liberators thundered through the clouds, escorted by P-47 Thunderbolts and P-51 Mustangs, targeting aircraft factories and ball-bearing plants critical to the Luftwaffe's war machine. But as the formation crossed into enemy territory, swarms of German fighters rose to meet them. Elite pilots from Jagdgeschwader 3 and Jagdgeschwader 11, flying the agile Messerschmitt Bf 109 G6 models, armed with 20mm cannons and 13mm machine guns. The bitter cold bit through the thin aluminum skins of the bombers, temperatures plummeting to -50 degrees Fahrenheit, where oxygen masks froze to faces and guns jammed from the frost. In the tail turret of a B-17G named Hell's Fury from the 390th Bombardment Group, based at RAF Framlingham in Suffolk, England, sat Staff Sergeant Michael "Mad Mike" Donovan, a 23-year-old from the gritty streets of South Boston. Little did he know, his actions that day would etch his name into the annals of aerial warfare. To understand the miracle that unfolded that fateful day, we must first delve into the man behind the guns and the desperate strategic chess game that placed him there. Michael Donovan was no born soldier. He hailed from a working-class Irish-American family in South Boston, where his father toiled on the docks unloading cargo ships, his calloused hands a testament to endless labor. Young Mike's older brother, Tommy, had been a Golden Gloves boxer, teaching him the raw art of street fighting, quick jabs, dodging blows, and never backing down from a scrap. The neighborhood was tough, fistfights were common, and survival meant striking first. When Pearl Harbor was bombed on December 7, 1941, Donovan, then just 20, felt the call to arms. He enlisted in the U.S. Air Forces, but initial assessments pegged him for ground crew duties. Too scrappy, they said, not refined enough for the skies. But Donovan fought back, insisting on aerial gunnery school at Las Vegas Army Airfield. There, he absorbed the basics: the M2 Browning 50 caliber machine guns with their 600 rounds per minute fire rate, effective up to 1,800 yards, but deadly accurate at 600. He learned the vulnerabilities of enemy fighters, their thin armor, the need for precise deflection shooting, accounting for speed and angle. But Donovan's street smarts whispered something more. Waiting to be attacked was suicide. Aggression was survival. By early 1944, the Allied bombing campaign over Europe had reached a critical juncture. The 8th Air Force, under Lieutenant General James Doolittle, was tasked with crippling the German aircraft industry to pave the way for D-Day. Operation Argument, known as Big Week in February, had already inflicted heavy losses on the Luftwaffe, but the Nazis were regrouping. The March 6th raid on Berlin was a bold escalation, the first time American bombers struck the heart of the Reich in daylight. Over 700 bombers sorted, but the strategic importance was immense. Destroy the Erkner ball-bearing plant and VKF factories, and the German war machine would grind to a halt. The 390th Bomb Group, part of the 13th Combat Wing, flew in the low squadron position, making them prime targets for head-on and rear attacks. Their B-17G Hell's Fury, serial number 423176, was equipped with the Cheyenne tail turret, offering a 180-degree field of fire, but exposing the gunner to brutal isolation, dangling in a plexiglass bubble at the rear. The crew included pilot Captain Robert Hayes, co-pilot Lieutenant Edward Klein, bombardier Lieutenant Samuel Weiss, navigator Lieutenant Harold Grant, top turret gunner Sergeant William Thorpe, ball turret gunner Sergeant Joseph Ramirez, waist gunners Sergeants Frank Novak and Carl Benson, radio operator Technical Sergeant David Leung, and tail gunner Donovan. Why was this moment critical? The 8th Air Force had suffered staggering losses, over 20% attrition rates on some missions. Tail gunners faced the worst odds. 38% never completed their 25-mission tour, picked off by cannon fire, or freezing to death if wounded. The Luftwaffe's Bf-109s, with their Daimler-Benz DB605 engines pushing 435 miles per hour, could outmaneuver the lumbering B-17s at 250 miles per hour. For the Allies, success meant air superiority. Failure meant prolonged war and thousands more dead. Donovan, on his 18th mission, had volunteered for the tail position after the previous gunner was killed. Cursed spot, they called it. But in his mind, it was the perfect vantage to apply his unorthodox ideas, born from barroom brawls and gunnery manuals that preached defense. He believed in offense. Dead gunners don't shoot back, he'd say. As the formation droned towards Berlin at 23,000 feet, the men inside Hell's Fury checked their oxygen, thawed their buns with hand warmers, and prayed. The strategic situation was dire. The Germans knew they were coming. Radar picking up the armada miles away. Flak batteries around Berlin, 88mm guns capable of hurling shells to 30,000 feet, stood ready. But it was the fighters that terrified most. What happened next would become legendary.
Massive formation crossed the Dutch coast at 0900 hours. The first whispers of trouble stirred. P-47 escorts peeled away at their range limit, leaving the bombers vulnerable. By 1000 hours, over the Zuiderzee, initial contacts. A flight of 4 Focke-Wulf 190s probed the edges, but escorts drove them off. The tension built slowly, like a storm gathering on the horizon. Inside Hell's Fury, the intercom crackled with reports. Bogies at 3 o'clock high. Donovan swiveled his turret, the hydraulic motors whining against the cold. His twin .50s, each fed by 500-round belts, were loaded with a mix of armor-piercing and incendiary rounds. The air was thin, breath fogging the sights. By 1100 hours, as they approached the German border near Osnabrück, the real threat emerged. Radar-directed interceptors from 2/JG3 rose from Aachen Airfield. 12 Bf-109 G6s, each armed with two 13mm MG-131 machine guns and a 20mm MG-151 cannon. Their pilots, veterans of the Eastern Front, with hundreds of hours. They climbed to 24,000 feet, positioning for a classic rear attack, using the sun to blind the gunners. The approaching threat intensified. At 11:30 hours, just 200 miles from Berlin, the fighters formed up in a Luftwaffe circle, a defensive wheel allowing mutual cover as they assessed the bomber box. Donovan spotted them first, silhouettes against the pale sky, exhaust trails streaming like venomous snakes. 12 bandits, 6 o'clock low, closing fast, he reported calmly. But fear gripped the crew. The B-17s tightened formation, their combined 13 guns per plane creating a wall of fire. But gaps existed. The Germans accelerated to 350 miles per hour, diving in pairs. Sensory overload hit. The roar of radial engines, the bitter metallic tang of gun oil mixed with sweat-soaked flight suits. By 11:45 hours, the first pass, 2 Bf-109s streaked in from 1,000 yards, cannons flashing. Tracers arced past Hell's Fury, one shell punching through the wing, fuel leaking in a misty spray. The crew felt the jolt, hearts pounding. Donovan tracked them, but held fire. Standard doctrine said wait until 600 yards for accuracy, conserve ammo, but the enemy reformed, now 16 strong, as reinforcements from JG-11 joined. At 1200 hours, over Magdeburg, the swarm grew to 24, circling like wolves. The flak started, black puffs blooming around them, shrapnel rattling the fuselage like hail on tin. One nearby B-17 from the 100th Bomb Group took a direct hit, exploding in a fireball, debris tumbling earthward. Screams echoed over the radio. The tension mounted relentlessly. By 12:30 hours, as Berlin's spires loomed distant, the fighters committed. A squadron of 12 peeled off for a coordinated attack on the 390th's low element. They approached in echelon formation, 1,500 yards out, engines screaming. The cold wind howled through bullet holes, the smell of cordite already thick. Donovan's hands tightened on the triggers, sweat freezing on his brow. The crew braced, bombs armed, turrets traversing. Little did they know, The next 4 minutes would defy every rule in the book. The crisis erupted with terrifying speed. At precisely 12:42 hours, the 12 Bf-109s committed to their assault, diving from 1,000 feet above in a synchronized wave. Their cannons boomed, shells ripping into the formation. Hell's fury shuddered as 20mm rounds struck the tail assembly, plexiglass shattering around Donovan. Shards cut his face, blood mixing with the freezing air. Oxygen lines hissed, the turret filling with acrid smoke. The impossible situation unfolded. The plane's top turret jammed from frost. Ball turret gunner Ramirez trapped below with limited visibility. Waist gunners Novak and Benson fired wildly, but the attackers focused on the rear, knowing the tail was the weak point. 8 fighters zeroed in on Hell's fury, tracers converging like deadly fireworks. One Bf-109 scored a hit on the number 3 engine, oil spraying, flames licking the cowling. Pilot Hayes fought the controls, the bomber yawing violently. "We're going down!" someone yelled over the intercom. Casualties mounted across the group. Another B-17 spiraled away, 10 parachutes blooming like dandelions. Donovan's position was hellish, isolated, exposed with 360 degrees of threat, but only rearward fire. Ammo belts dwindled. Standard load was 1,000 rounds per gun, but sustained fire would exhaust them fast. The Germans pressed, closing to 500 yards, their superior speed allowing multiple passes. Fear gripped the men, the deafening roar of artillery-like cannon fire, the bitter cold seeping through breaches, the metallic taste of blood. Everything seemed lost. Outnumbered 4-to-1 in fighters per bomber, escorts miles away dealing with their own battles. The formation fractured. Stragglers picked off mercilessly. In those brutal moments, as shells whistled past and the plane bucked like a wounded beast, sheer desperation took hold. The human cost weighed heavy. Comrades vaporized in explosions, the weight of command on Hayes to keep them aloft. Against impossible odds, Donovan stared down the barrel of oblivion, his turret a glass coffin. What happened next would become legendary.
In that crucible of chaos, Donovan made his heroic decision, the turning point that snatched victory from defeat's jaws. Ignoring every manual that screamed conserve ammunition and fire only when sure, he embraced his suicidal tactic, aggressive offensive defense. At 2,000 yards, far beyond standard engagement range, he opened fire with both 50s, unleashing a sustained barrage of 100 rounds in 10 seconds. The tracers arced out, not aiming for kills, but disruption. The lead Bf-109's pilot, startled by the unexpected fire, banked sharply, breaking formation. Wingmen followed, the echelon collapsing into disarray. Donovan targeted the flanks, firing at wingmen to sow panic, his street fighter instinct kicking in. Hit the followers, isolate the leader. As the Germans reformed at 1,100 yards, he poured on another burst, this time connecting, incendiary rounds igniting a Bf-109's fuel tank. It exploded in an orange fireball, debris raining down. The crew cheered over the intercom, morale surging, but ammo burned fast. Donovan economized by focusing on the 6 o'clock sector, ignoring peripherals. When reinforcements swelled the enemy to 24, he used psychological warfare, traversing the guns rapidly to simulate multiple threats, making one position seem like 3. One by one, he picked them off. A deflection shot at 800 yards shredding a canopy, pilot bailing out. A head-on burst at 600 yards severing a wing. In 30 seconds, 3 more fell, smoke trails marking their doom. The turning point peaked at 12:44 hours. Facing a swarm of 12 in a final desperate charge, Donovan held fire until 400 yards and unleashed hell. 180 rounds in 45 seconds, walking the fire across the formation. 6 Bf-109s disintegrated, collisions claiming 2 more as pilots panicked. Ammo exhausted, he kept tracking empty guns, the motion alone causing the survivors to veer off. Through sheer determination and innovative tactics, seizing initiative, intimidating hesitation, concentrating firepower, he overcame the odds. The crew, inspired, rallied. Hayes extinguished the engine fire. Klein steadied the yoke. What seemed suicidal, expending ammo early, proved genius. preventing closer, deadlier attacks. As the smoke cleared at 12:46 hours, the outcome revealed itself. 12 Bf-109s confirmed destroyed, 4 probables, 3 damaged, all credited to Donovan in those frantic 4 minutes. Hell's fury limped on, reaching the target at Augsburg by 1300 hours, bombs away on the aircraft factory amid heavy flak. No crew casualties aboard, though the plane bore 47 holes, 2 engines damaged. Across the raid, the 8th Air Force lost 69 bombers and 11 fighters, with 347 damaged, the costliest day of the war for them. German losses, 66 fighters claimed, though Donovan's tally stood out. Back at Framlingham, ground checks and gun camera film verified his claims. For his valor, Donovan received the Distinguished Service Cross, the Air Medal with clusters, and a battlefield promotion to Technical Sergeant. The historical significance was profound. Major General Frederick Anderson, impressed, reassigned him to Training Command. There, Donovan codified the Donovan doctrine, aggressive tail gunnery, emphasizing early engagement, psychological disruption, and offensive mindset. He trained 300 gunners from March to August 1944, reducing tail gunner casualties from 38% to 23%, aborting 52% of attacks by June. Credited with saving 300 bombers and 3,000 lives, it influenced D-Day air cover and post-war doctrines in the U.S. Air Force, even adopted by NATO. German pilots, per captured manuals, began evading aggressive bombers. Donovan's triumph of the human spirit, a street kid defying doctrine, reminded all of war's personal toll and ingenuity's power. He returned home in 1945, worked construction in Boston, shunned fame, and passed in 1998 at 76, his story fading until declassified records revived it.